What's up, YouTube? Today we're going to be looking at new cards that just got revealed probably an hour ago. I have not looked at them at all, but I think this will be our first look at some of the EX cards in addition to the ones that we've already seen. So let's just take a look at them. Let's just jump right into it. Nothing more to beat around the bush. So let's jump into it. And these new EXs are also the ones that give up two prizes, like they formerly were. But the only difference is now they have to go back to the evolutions rather than having just like V's and VMAXs and all that just given to us off the bat. We're going to have to go stage one, basic stage one, stage two to get to those big EXs or like a basic EX or whatever. So let's look right at them. We've got a Magnemite. It's got recoil. Switch it with your bench Pokemon. Nothing crazy. Electro Ball. Nothing crazy either. Magneton, which evolves from Magnemite. Lightning Ball for 20. And Explosion for 90. And also does 90 to itself, knocking itself out. Pretty standard. I don't think either of those two cards will ever see like attacking purposes. And then we have the Magnezone EX. This card was teased at the World Championships this past year, so it's been about 4 months since we've seen a teaser for it with 330 HP. Monstrous 330 HP, weakness to fighting, and its first attack, Energy Crush, does 50 times the number of each energy attached to all of your opponent's Pokemon. A pretty good punish card, but I think right now in this current format, looking at the scope of what we have currently, there's not that many cards or decks that revolve around having a ton of energy on the board. So it's a very steep commitment on a stage 2 to be probably doing about 200 damage at maximum without any modifiers. So not the greatest. And then we have Pulse Launcher for 2 lightnings, which is 220 and 32 itself. So it's just a very weak attack for what you're investing into a stage 2 attacker, given the scope of cards like RCS, Lugia, all these things that are already very powerful in their own right. But I think, some things can change, and this card could maybe see some play. I'm not hopeful for it. Oh, Ralts, that means we got a Gardevoir coming up. Ralts has Psyshot for 30 damage. Not probably used. Hey, it's got the Academy in the background. That's pretty sick. Then we have the Curlia. I think this is the Woods, the like Tangle Woods thing. Psychic, 2 Psychic and a Color, 60 plus 20 for each attached to your opponent's active. That could be a good punish back if there's a good way to power this up. And then we have the Gardevoir EX. Pokemon really seems to love Gardevoir. This card has been printed way too many times. We've gotten 2 Gardevoir EXs now at the very least. Gardevoir Level X, Gardevoir V, or Gardevoir GX. There was a Gardevoir V and VMAX, I believe, too, yeah. Gardevoir EX is Psychic Embrace. Once during your turn, as often as you like during your turn, you may attach a basic Psychic from your discard pile to one of your Psychic Pokemon. If you do, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. You can't use this ability on a Pokemon that would be knocked out by the 2 damage counters. So you can accelerate an infinite amount of Psychic energy from your discard to one of your Psychic Pokemon for 2 damage counters. I don't really know what Pokemon can kind of abuse this right now, but this does seem like it will become eventually a problematic ability towards the end of the game. And I do understand that Psychic Colors 190 is not a great attack, but it is a good cleanup or like early game attack. But I guess eventually you can Psychic Embrace a bunch of energy onto the board and like do something like really scary with it, like where you're not like you're not playing out of your hand, for example, which already makes this card kind of scary, or you're playing off the board. And any card that usually plays off the board in a scenario like this can be very, very strong. So this Gardevoir EX, I think, has potential. In the current format, I have no idea what it would be paired with because Shadow Rider is too bulky, and as a stage 2, it's too slow. But eventually, give it a year, I think this card will be good. Great Tusk EX. So I guess if you have not played the games, this is a spoiler. The Great Tusk is the one from Scarlet, which is the prehistoric version, where they have 5 prehistoric Pokemon, or like I guess like their Paradox Pokemon is what they're called. But it's interesting that I thought Paradox Pokemon for some reason would have some sort of special rule box or special effect, kind of like Radiant Pokemon, or something like that, because they're so special in the game and you don't see them until the end game or when they're Titans. So I figured they'd have something more special about them, but I guess they're just going to release them alongside Miraidon and Koraidon as like EX, just like vanilla EX, like basics. Because we'd have Great Tusk, Fluttermane, Roaring Moon, like Iron Valiant, all those guys. So I assume we'll get all of them in some capacity as basic EXs given this pattern. So Great Tusk EX is Bedrock Breaker, 40, discard a stadium and play. Nothing crazy. Giganto Tusk Giganto Tusk for 3 fighting, 250, and does 50 damage to itself, which is not a lot of damage if you think about it, but this is better EV than cards like Slacking, and you can accelerate this with Gutsy Pickaxe. And I think there's a Claydol that also accelerates to it if you have no supporters in your discard. So this could be a really strong turn 1 attacker if you can like pull off some sort of Gutsy Pickaxe Grant style of deck to get this powered up. Raihan, I think also will help this out. I don't really know what else you could pair with this, but I don't think this card is necessarily bad. The 4 retreat cost is not good, but the psychic typing is there. And then finally, we've got Iron Treads, which is the futuristic version of this prehistoric Donphan that we've seen that comes in Pokemon Violet. So another spoiler for you guys if you've not played the games. If you haven't, I would also highly recommend it. This is just a TCG channel though, so we're going to go back to that. Iron Treads has for 3 colorless triple laser, 30 to each of your opponents, 3 of your opponents' Pokemon. This attack has been like recycled throughout time. I think the first triple laser was on Registeel EX way back in the day. And then Cybernetic Wheel for 3 metal colorless, 160 and switch this Pokemon. That's a lot of energy to do 160. This card seems pretty bad. I don't think we have any metal acceleration, but this card seems absolutely terrible, actually, given the context of everything we've seen. But yeah, those are all the new cards it looks like that we've seen so far. More Scarlet Violet cards will be coming out sooner than later. The set does come out in Japan on January 20th, so that's about a month away, and then we'll get them on March 31st. So thank you guys for watching. If you guys enjoyed the news, as always, like and subscribe. We'll do a competitive review on a lot of these new cards when they come out, and have a happy holidays.